Well, hello everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Arts for Learning. I'm not sure what episode number this is. I think it's like 3 or 4, something like that, but it is once again a very special episode as today's topic is going to be the importance of private lessons, especially when it comes to music. If you have a child who is in the arts and wants to pursue it, or if yourself you want to pursue the arts as well, we are here to stress the importance of private lessons and the benefits that it can bring to you all. And let's go ahead and introduce our guest for this evening. With me today, I have, of course, Glenn Ballard with Young Audiences, and then I have Archie Jones, who is an orchestra teacher and conductor as well, and then we have Dr. Sua Park with UT Tyler. She is a music professor. How are we doing today, everybody?
Great, Tristan. Thank you.
Well,
Awesome. Well, thank you all so much for coming on the show. I really appreciate it. And then, Glenn, do you kind of just want to take over for a second and talk about what you want from this episode today and what you want the people at home to take away from this episode?
Thank you, Tristan. First of all, I'd like to tell you a little bit about the guests who are here with me today. The first one is a man I've known for over 30 years. He's a dear friend, and he's had a successful career in orchestra teaching and conducting in Shreveport, in Tyler, and in Longview. Now he has his own private studio. He's also, I'm thankful to say, one of the members of the board of directors of Young Audiences. And I'm very thankful to have Maestro Archie Jones with us today to talk about private lessons. And my second guest, I've known not quite so long, but I'm very thankful that she is now one of the certified teaching artists for Young Audiences. And Dr. Sua Park is an associate professor of music at UT Tyler. She has advanced music degrees from UT Austin and the Eastman School of Music, and she has performed in a lot of places around the world: Brazil and Mexico, Finland, Australia, and South Korea, to name a few. And one of the performances that I've been able to attend personally was her recital this past Saturday in the Braithwaite Hall at UT Tyler, and it was spectacular, breathtaking even. So I'm very pleased to have my friend, virtuoso Dr. Sua Park, with us today. And you asked about what we want to accomplish. You already mentioned it, but I think there's a great benefit for young people to engage in private music lessons that go beyond the classroom setting, and not just private lessons from teachers, but also to take the time and make the commitment to be involved in either community orchestras or extra opportunities to perform, whether that's in a choir somewhere off the campus or one of the numerous community orchestras that are available. And it's just a really neat opportunity to expand their musical horizons and work with more people and different directors. So great benefit, I think.
I would imagine it was about my 9th grade year in high school that I realized that I wanted to be an orchestra teacher. And that kind of spearheaded a number of things. One of my dear teachers that I feel like was such an influence in my life, Miss Johnette LeBlanc from Shreveport, Louisiana. She just always encouraged me, and I recall just her taking the time to direct me in that path. And so I knew pretty fondly that I wanted to be an orchestra director about 9th grade.
So I started playing the piano from age of 7, and then music was always around me, and I picked up clarinet and played clarinet. And by the time that I was 12, I went to church and listened to people singing in the choir, and I was mesmerized. And so I started taking voice lessons when I was 5th grade, and I made it to some magnetic school in South Korea. And my passion started for singing. So yeah, it was pretty early on.
Well, that is just amazing. Now, I think this is about the second episode that we've done revolving around music, and it's always great hearing when people decide they want to get into music. I knew I did not want to get into music whenever I heard myself sing for the first time, so it's definitely refreshing to just hear people talk about their journeys and stuff like that. So, yeah, I tried to tell my parents I wanted to go out for American Idol, and they said, no, we're not going to let you embarrass yourself on national TV like that. But anyway, and then I want to go ahead and just ask, That's my fondest memory of music, and especially in education as well. And I just want to ask, what is your guys' fondest memory of your own education in the arts? We can go ahead and just start with Archie and see what you want.
Well, I remember, I guess it was 1981, I had an opportunity to win a competition in Louisiana and went on to be with, it was called Congress of Strings during that time. I think I went the very last year before they discontinued that, but it was a great opportunity for young musicians from all the United States and Canada. And I had an opportunity to be in a master class where Dorothy DeLay was present. And she was the great teacher of Isaac Perlman, the great violinist. And I was sitting there, and they had this little young man that came out that was very timid. And he just seemed like I didn't think he could even hold a violin, to be honest. But Dorothy DeLay took him aside in this master class, and she was so diabolical. I mean, just the way that she taught, and just absolutely unbelievable to be in her presence. I couldn't believe I was there in front of Dorothy DeLay. But she took this young man in about 15 minutes, and she turned him into a solo artist. Just for those few minutes that she took that one-on-one opportunity that this young man had to be with someone of Dorothy DeLay's caliber. And it was unbelievable. He was working on the Mendelssohn Violin Concerto in E minor. I will never forget it. And when she got through with him, he was able to play that concerto.
That's amazing. That's such a
It
short
was
amount of
just
time, too.
unbelievable.
Wow, just 15 minutes really changed his life. That's amazing. And Dr. Sue, what's your fondest memory of your own education?
So I graduated high school in South Korea, and then I came to Eastman School of Music for my undergrad. And I barely spoke it in English. I barely understood what is happening in the classroom. And the voice lesson with my teacher, Dr. William McIver, was the highlight of the entire week. And I would show up, and he would try to explain the concept of vocal technique and the songs and the stories very carefully, and that would make my whole week. And then he was kindly offered that his wife would teach me how to speak English. And so I would take lesson, and then I would go with Ms. McIver, and we would sit down, and she would teach me words that I need to learn. And it was just, for me, what a mentorship, what a relationship, and the care, and such love towards one foreign student, and I am who I am right now because of my teacher mentoring, putting energy, passionate about music education. I am the result of all that. So yeah, that's my fondest memory of music education.
Tristan, can I piggyback on that?
Yeah, of course.
Not from my own memory, but when I was at Sua's recital Saturday evening, I took note of the fact that she speaks or sings fluently in Italian, French, and German.
Wow.
So she may have had some struggles early on with the English language, but she has mastered the language of opera.
Oh, my goodness.
Wonderful.
By the way, English is the most difficult language that I had to learn.
Okay.
So
That makes me feel better because I still struggle with English, and that's the only language I've ever had to learn. So, Glenn, I don't know why I keep letting you talk me into doing these shows. Because every time you bring on these guests, they always are just so much more educated than I am. And I'm just like, come on.
Well, me too. That's why I'm not saying very much. But I will say this about Sua's remark about the relationships and the mentoring that takes place in a private setting. I respect all of our arts teachers. I love them all. I stand in awe of them. But when you have the one-on-one, Archie mentioned the little one-on-one session with the young man, and all of us had that at some point in our careers where someone showed a little special interest, had a little special time, and obviously in our culture, we must be very careful, and professional educators are very careful about private time with their students. But that's where many of these sparks come from, is when a professional educator musician in this case, sees something in a young person and, just helps fan that flame and builds those relationships that, as these artists have mentioned, stay with them the rest of their lives. And I'm thankful for those kinds of times that we have.
I mean, it really just lets you know firsthand of what we just talked about, of how important that one-on-one is, because we just learned from both our guests here today that that was like the first memory that popped up in their brain when I asked that question. So it really does stick with you, years and years later. So I feel like that's very awesome. I love that you guys both found your inspiration that way through your first fondest memory. Like, you also got inspired by your teacher and you as well, and learning a language and music at the same time. That's pretty incredible as well. And speaking of fondest memories, I want to just ask more about how, Glenn, you know Archie and Dr. Sua too. I just wonder, how do you guys met? Would you guys meet through young audiences, or how did you guys come to know each other? Glenn, go ahead. How did you guys get to learn?
Well, as I mentioned, I've known Archie a long time, and I was visiting in Shreveport probably about 30-some years ago, and it was my wife, actually, Rebecca, who knew that Archie was an orchestra conductor, and our son, Bradley, our oldest son, was at John Tyler High School at that time, and they'd just lost their orchestra teacher. And so Rebecca asked Archie, would you be interested in coming? And he indicated yes. And so that was on a weekend. We got home on Monday, and Monday morning she was in the principal's office at John Tyler High School, now Tyler High, and demanding an interview. So that's how we came to meet. It was through some shared church activities and church relationships, which we still share. But then Dr. Park, some years ago, came to the school where I was teaching for some costume work for a project she was doing at UT. I think it was Phantom of the Opera, as I recall. And so we were able to support that, and we just made that connection through collaboration. And when I started in this role as Young Audiences Executive Director, one of the challenges for me was to try to develop some new local teaching artists for our program. She was one of the first ones that I sought out to do that, and she has developed some amazing curriculum for the high school and middle school level, and I'm hoping that this spring during competition season and into next year, she'll be visiting the campuses across Region 7 with some of her outstanding clinician work.
Awesome. So we have a lot of talent in this room, is what I'm hearing from that answer. Awesome. So let's go ahead and jump into our next question, which is, I want you guys to tell me about your professional career highlights and what you are doing now. Archie, can you go ahead and just tell us more about what you're up to these days?
Well, I retired from teaching public schools about 1.5 years ago. And of course, I taught for like 38 years as far as in public schools and in private schools as well. And I had quite a few after-school programs that I initiated, and had an opportunity to be with young people for a number of years here in the city of Tyler. And I now, after retiring, I have a private studio here in Tyler where I teach about 20 students each week. And I've had some very successful students that have come from both Louisiana and from here. One particular, John Henry Crawford, which now is a solo artist, world solo artist, cellist, and he's traveling all over the world and is doing a phenomenal job. One story I'd like to share very quickly, there was a young man that was from Maybank. His name was Caleb Potts. He's played here in the symphony for a number of years, but it was interesting how things got started for him. He had a brother named Seth Potts, and Seth took violin from me for about 2 years before his brother started taking string bass from me. And of course, these were all individual lessons that they were having, and I noticed that Caleb would always just give me his totally undivided attention, even though I wasn't teaching him. And so one day he came up to me and asked if he could please take bass under me. And I said, well, if your parents allow you, I'll be glad to teach you. But I did not know that what was awaiting in the... This young man took off on bass, I'm talking about, and I only taught him for about a year. And after about a year, he was entering competitions. Matter of fact, he entered one competition over at the Rice University in Houston. And the great cellist Lynn Harrell was over this particular competition that they were having there at Rice. And Caleb played so well that Lynn Harrell made a rating and an award for him because he played so well.
His own rating and award.
And so happened that my teacher, which was John Henry Crawford, you heard me talking about, was there. And she called me up and she said, Archie, I heard one of your bass players and it was unbelievable. I said, who was that? You know? And so she told me about it, and it was Caleb Potts.
Yeah, they had to raise the bar for him.
And this all just happened because this young man was observant. I took a little time, and I decided, okay, I'm going to give him a chance. And he just ignited. And then his little sister also. And then both of them ended up getting a full scholarship at SMU. And so all of this, just one little spark, and other things united from that. So it was just pretty cool, that experience.
That's crazy how fast things can change like that, and that's insane that they actually had to raise the bar just for him. They had to give another award out and everything.
And he was amazing.
Wow. And I like that you did bring up your private lessons as well. If someone wants to book a private lesson with you, where can they go to find you or anything?
American Band Instrument here in Tyler.
American Band Instrument? Okay.
Yeah.
You guys have like a website and everything too?
Yes, I am on the website.
Okay,
Yes.
awesome. All right. And then, Dr. Sua, could you tell us about your professional career highlights and what you are doing now? I know it already says UT Tyler Music Professor, but can you tell us a little more about that?
So I have two albums that I recorded. The first album was French woman composer Charminade, and the second album that I recorded was the Native American songs. That I would collect the Native American poems and then commission to a composer to write a music for me, and I recorded that. And I had a recital like 3 years ago at Carnegie Hall, and that was, really special time for me. And I try to sing as many local theater in the shows, and that's where I am now.
Awesome.
She sang the role, have you got me on there? She sang the role of the Mother Abbess in the Tyler Civic Theater's production of The Sound of Music, I think, was it 2 years ago?
Yeah, something like that.
Wow.
2023.
Why don't you comment, Sua, about your private studio as well? Can you talk about that a little bit?
Well, so I don't have much time, but if there is a need for high school students who wants to compete in the solo and ensemble or the all-state choir competitions, or they want to audition for musical theater productions, I help them, and they tend to do really well. Recently, my private student won the second place for the All-State, and then he won the superior rating for the UIL, and another female high school private student won the role of Anna from Frozen in the production of Brook Hill High School. So, I mean, I offer, and these are commitment. You have to make yourself available and be ready for a critic. I expect them to work hard. So, but it's I get that it's not for everyone. But in my studio, when they sign up for lessons, they tend to do really well, and I'm very proud of them. So.
Awesome. All right, and I think you kind of helped us segue into our next question and topic here as well, because you did mention that it's a lot of hard work, and if students do want to come have their own private lessons, they got to be prepared to take some criticism and just kind of keep that open mind. And I feel like that kind of helps us ask, how do private lessons differ from classroom instruction, and who do you think benefits from these private lessons? Let's go ahead and have Archie answer that question as well.
Well, Tristan, I think both the teacher and the student actually benefit from it. One thing that I've learned, I used to teach students starting my I'll go back to my own two daughters. They started playing cello when they were 2.5. They weren't, the cello was bigger than they were.
Wow.
But I guess they thought it was cool because Dad did it,
Yeah.
you know. But nevertheless, I gave them the opportunity to play that instrument. And later, not much later, but my oldest daughter decided she wanted to play violin, which was okay.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they started on cello, but they end up kind of going in their own direction. I can say that that benefit that one-on-one give you is that you are able to kind of, Dr. Sono talked about relationship. And even though they were my daughters, they were a relationship that was formed whenever we came to a point that I was teaching them one-on-one. I was able to see kind of the direction that they were going as young musicians. I think that happens whenever you bring anyone into your studio. You kind of do a lesson plan for that individual, if you want to go it from the educational standpoint. And you learn how to communicate with that student. But you said, and the reason I said that it's something that I think it causes both the teacher and the student to kind of raise the bar, because it causes me to be at a greater point in my teaching ability in order to pass on to these students education about what they're trying to do. So I think it makes me accountable as well.
Tristan, I think, we are living in a very transitional time with AI technology.
Oh, yeah.
The human touch part is really critical in our education. I know there are a lot of parents worrying about their kids' career, their future. Anything that can be learned by machine will be replaced. But anything that needs a skill touched by human, that will survive. And I think the music teaching is one of the career that will survive, because you really need not only the skills that you transfer, but it's that mentorship, relationship, and how to relate to your emotion, experience. Those cannot be replaced. So it is really critical for all students and parents who are interested in music. They have to understand that how much benefit they can get from learning music. You can involve in choir, orchestra, band, but also the private lesson is where all the inspiration starts and the motivation. I have many cases that nowadays I see more cases of mental illness among my students. It's namely like anxiety, ADHD, depression. Those are very, very common words nowadays. Music can heal the soul. And I strongly believe that the more that I dig into the knowledge about neurology, like study about brain,
Yeah.
the cochlear, which perceives sound, is connected to the part of the brain that connects to the emotion. So by doing the music, by being involved in musical activities, you really have opportunity to have mental health, strong emotions, and really contribution to community. So I cannot place any stronger emphasis on music education, taking private lessons. Those are very critical experience for our young kids.
I like the way you said that a lot, too. It's kind of like, you kind of mentioned how music can be therapy for people, honestly, in a way. And I feel like that helps, out tremendously. You did mention a lot of the mental health struggles that people in my generation tend to have as well. So, and like you said, you can connect through music. And I think when you have a great teacher doing one-on-one lessons to you, that really kind of helps out with just your mental health and also your soul as well.
Let me add more. It increased the resilience, because music at some point they have to be in front of audience. So they, have to overcome the feeling of nervousness, the anxiety, and by, learn how to overcome these emotions, they learn how to overcome challenges and be resilient. So I think I cannot think any better way to really strengthen our younger generation
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Tristan, can I jump in?
Yeah, of course.
So, Dr. Park mentioned the therapeutic benefits and the benefits for students with learning differences. And right now, I'm one of the grant evaluators for the Texas Commission on the Arts. And this weekend, I spent quite a few hours looking over 22 different grant proposals for the state of Texas. And in all of them, they all were geared for students that either had learning differences or students at risk. And I read the language over and over again about the value and the demonstrated benefits of music therapy. And actually, it extends to other art forms as well, but especially in the field of music, students that are at risk and that are underserved, you know, in the educational setting, have a tremendous benefit. First of all, there is clearly a cognitive benefit. I have in front of me an article written by a well-known music teacher here in Tyler for many years, Miss Leslie Ring. And in the article, she points out something that's been proven. The college board that administers the SAT test every year has statistics that indicate students that are exposed to music education have consistently higher scores on the SAT, at least 20 to 30 points higher than those students that don't engage in music education.
Right.
That's a statistic that's been demonstrated over and over again. So we sometimes joke about it. Is it smart kids who take music, or does music help students with their education? And maybe there's a combination there.
I'm smart.
But anyway,
Well, Glenn, if you think about it, you know, music is such multitask.
yes.
And so you have to listen to the pitch, you have to move, you have to come in the right time, you have to learn different languages, you have to use your fingers. It's such multitask, and nothing in this generation challenged them in a way that they have to think, plan, they have to have discipline. It just teaches
Well,
so much lessons.
That's right. There's also, if you're in an orchestra or a choir, there's a tremendous collaborative aspect of it. You're part of a team. We sometimes say that in the fine arts, it's the ultimate team sport
Yeah.
because whether it's musical theater or a choral arrangement, instrumental, you have to listen. And as you said, there's a lot of critical thinking skills involved, hand-eye coordination. And, you know, the other thing, one of the things that Ms. Ring said in her article, which I really appreciated, was the idea of the joy involved also.
Yep.
So you can say it's academically helpful, it helps students with their social emotional learning, but the fact is most kids go to school every day not because they love writing essays or they love solving equations and learning formulas, but they go because their fine arts teachers and their friends at school share in these extracurricular activities that bring
Absolutely.
great joy.
Yeah.
So I'm very thankful to be a part of that.
Yeah. And I'm going to add one more thing. I know I don't want to be so technical on this podcast, but so I study about nervous system, and there is a very specific nerve called vagus nerve. And it goes through vocal cords, throat, lungs, your stomach. So everywhere that singers will use, when there's a singing, there's a speaking. So like singing, theater, you know, any activity that use vocal cords to vibrate, it vibrates the vagus nerve, and that's the nerve that calms down people.
Oh, okay.
You gotta sing for health.
Amen.
There
makes a lot of
is
sense.
no
Absolutely.
other way. And the more that I dig in scientific knowledge, there's absolutely no way around to be healthy, to be functional, to be to involve, to be active. Music is the medicine.
Yes.
That's great.
And we've come up on the 30-minute mark, but you know what? I kind of would just make a decision here. I think we should go a little longer because there's a couple more questions that I want to ask, and I feel like we're having such a great conversation here. Might as well just keep it going. Let's just see how long it
Okay.
goes. So I want to ask this next question, which is, what advice would you give to a student or their parent if they are hoping for a college scholarship in music? You guys are obviously very qualified to give out this kind of information because you've helped numerous people get those scholarships and set them up to even go on better, like further in their careers as well. So Archie, what advice would you give to people like either a student or their parent who are just looking to grab that college scholarship and keep their music career going?
Well, first, Tristan, I guess I would say there needs to be a commitment on the part of the student. If this is something that they really want to pursue, they have a responsibility to themselves that there has to be a commitment that they're going to make to the art of the fine arts. And hopefully the parents will be supportive in the fact that this is what the student wants to do, and that there's a passion that's present with that student. And hopefully that parent will help to cultivate that passion that that student has. But it has to be a joint relationship, very collaborative with the standpoint of the parent, the student, the teacher. And private lessons, I believe, is one of the main things I would truly encourage parents to make available to their student.
So it's like a big combination of both, of everyone involved being all in. Like the student definitely has to be all in, the parent has to be all in on supporting, and then that teacher has to be all in on teaching. So you can't really cut any corners if you want to accomplish
Well,
something like
Dr.
that, right?
Suzuki said that there's a relationship in the Suzuki method between the student, the parent, and, of course, the relationship between the student, the parent, and the student. So all three of those things have to be involved in order to be successful in that.
And then Dr. Sue, what advice would you like to give?
So at UT Tyler, students who audition for scholarship to be involved in choir and in the band, those are available. We want to prioritize for those who wants to make a career in music. However, we offer scholarship to be in ensemble. I want to mention this. Making music is not right. It's privilege. There's no shortcut. But being involved in music is absolutely something that everybody should seek for. And I know there are a lot of parents who, there's very nervous and concerned parents who, when they want to put their children in music major, I think that landscape will change quite a bit in next 3 to 5 years. And this is going to be critical part of our living on this earth. So, and in my case, look at me. I'm not from here. I'm from South Korea. I didn't speak English to start with. And when the only difference that I had, that I was determined to be good at it. That was it. I didn't have special talent. I wasn't a special person, but I wanted to be good at it. I wanted to make beautiful sound. I just had a joy making music with other people. And in my whole career of my music, I was never poor. And so I want this message spread among parents who are so concerned about when their children choose music as a career. It is a very vital and very valuable career. So just let them do what they want from the heart, and everything else works out. So I just really want to encourage many parents and students, if this is your passion, don't be afraid. There are so many new jobs in music, especially in voice. I can speak about voice. There's a new trend that there's a lot of rehabilitation because there's a lot of broken voice out there from cheerleading or speaking in the wrong range, or singing with the wrong technique, or they didn't belt very well. So there is a music therapy and voice rehabilitation that is medical degree, but they need to have a voice undergrad degree to be able to pursue that career. And it's very, very popular. And so I think, music is, parents should not be nervous when their children choose music as their career.
All right, and then I also just want to ask Glenn, you've also had children go through the music scene and go and pursue music in school and stuff like that as well. What advice would you like to give to parents out there who their kid comes to them saying, I really want to pursue music, but maybe they might be like Dr. Sue, where like she said that, I wasn't the most talented, but I'm ready to work hard. What advice would you give to them?
Well, my oldest son, Bradley, has a degree from the University of North Texas. They're a renowned music education school.
Mm-hmm.
And when he left Archie's tutelage from high school, he realized how competitive it was. And Archie mentioned the commitment that has to be made by the student and the parent to support such a career. But I think my advice would be to be prepared to go from a school where you might have been the big fish in the little pond to where you go to a university and you're now the little fish in a big pond. And it's very competitive, and so you have to prepare yourself for that. And so that's one piece of advice I would give. And the other thing, I support any student who wants to make a career of the arts. I'm wholeheartedly behind that. But the reality is, most people coming out of high school do not pursue a career in what they did. If they were in the high school band or choir or the theater program or even visual arts, typically they don't pursue a career in that. But we want students to be lifelong learners, and we want them to pursue their, the art form that they are good at, as has been said, as a matter of joy and well-being, mental well-being and physical well-being. And there are civic theaters, there are summer programs. All of us volunteer to help programs like that. So for students who don't want to make it a career, please stay engaged and please enjoy the arts. And if you do want to make a career of it, as Dr. Park has said, there are good ones out there. It's very fulfilling and rewarding. You may not get wealthy, so be prepared to, in a career, if you make a career of the arts, it's a lot of hard work and very rewarding, but it may not be the most financially viable option for a lot of people.
Very true. I love that you actually brought up the University of North Texas, because I'm actually an alumni over there. And I knew a couple people going through the music program, and like you said, it's very competitive. I mean, some of my friends had to audition like 4 or 5 times just to get into the school, not even to go into classes and everything. So it is, I think one of the biggest takeaways we can get from this is, if you want to pursue music, it's obviously a good idea to get that private lessons, but just keep in mind, it's going to be tough. It's going to take a lot of hard work, and it's going to be super competitive, as they said. But I like that you guys mentioned it is very rewarding, so thank you all for.
And I think, Tristan, one more thing with regard to these auditions that you're talking about and the competitiveness. I think that's probably a good thing, because students should not think it's an easy road.
Yeah.
And I think part of that is deliberate, to kind of weed out, so to speak, those who are not so dedicated and those who aren't willing to pay the price. And so it's not made easy, for you to pursue such a career, but the effort and the support that you get in those programs is truly amazing.
Yeah, and honestly, that's a great way to look at life too. Anything that you really want is not going to be easy. So it's just a great perspective to look at that as well. I just want to ask everyone here, is there anything else you guys would like to say before we end this off? Any final message you want to give the audience watching this episode of Arts for Learning?
Well, I want to thank my guests for coming, for being my friends, and for allowing me to work with them. And for those who are watching the podcast, if you would like to know more about young audiences and the work we do with outstanding educators like this, please reach out to me. We have a website, Young Audiences of Northeast Texas, and my phone number's on there. I love to talk about the arts. I love to talk about the successes that our students enjoy, and I love to share, as we have today, with these experts who have made a life and a career of helping young people learn this great craft.
All right, well, thank you so much, Glenn, Archie, and Dr. Sue, so much for coming on to this episode. I really
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm sure that you guys inspired a lot of young artists out there as well, and can't wait to see how they do in their careers. So,
Thank you.
of course, we'll see you all next time.
Thank you.
Bye.